لا إله لا إله إلا الله.
It says, what's the source of evil according to Islam? The source of evil according to Islam. This is a true story. This happened in New York after 9/11. A journalist was interviewing a rabbi and a Catholic priest. He went to the Catholic priest and he asked him, what do you say about this? Now the journalist just trying to get a story, okay? So he's just antagonizing him. What do you say? Oh, it's horrible. Oh my God, look, these people died in their buildings and it was horrible. And he said, yeah, it's really bad. Does God got anything to do with this? Oh no, oh God is good, God is love, God would have nothing to do with this. He said, so who did it? He said, the devil did it. The devil did it. He said, God couldn't stop him? Good question. If you say no, or maybe you said, well, God didn't know it was going to happen. Oh, really? That's not the God that we know about. So then he turned to the rabbi and he asked him, do you say the same thing here? That the devil did it? He said, no. And I'm quoting you what he said. It's in the TPM. He said, no. He said, God did it. But we're angry with God for doing it, and you should be angry at Him too. Quote, unquote. What's the answer from Islam? It's in the Quran itself. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق. Very clear. Where did evil come from? It says in the Quran, say, I seek refuge with the Lord of daybreak, which is none other than God, Allah, from the evil that He created. So who created evil? The same one who created everything. Because there isn't any other power except His power. So why would God create evil? Everybody knows you're not going to live forever here in this life. Is that true? Yeah, good. Because that's what Allah said. You're going to die here, but every single soul is going to be resurrected. Now this is good news for the atheist. The one that doesn't believe in God, I've got real good news for you. You will be resurrected. Don't worry about it. When the Christian comes to you and tell you, you're not going to be resurrected, you tell them, nah. I heard from the Muslims, they said I'm going to be resurrected. Just back off. That's the good news. Everybody, atheists, agnostics, Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, Jews, Muslims, everybody going to be resurrected. That's the good news. Bad news. Not everybody's going to heaven. That's bad news. Yeah. The evil is in this life a test for all of us. Because this life is nothing but a test. To see, not for God to see, because He already knows what He created. He knows He created you. But it's for you to see, so on the day of judgment, you're not going to have anywhere to go. It's all going to be there in front of you. What did you do? What did you do with your life? You're going to be asked, what did you do with your life? Who gave you life? You said, God. And what did you do with it? Because if you acknowledged Him, and if you were grateful to Him, and if you obeyed His commandments, you're in good shape. You're in very good shape. Because it says clearly, the only ones who are going to stay in hell, even some people will go to hell, they'll get out. That's some more good news for people like me. But, because all of us make mistakes. Nobody's going to stay in hellfire. Except for those who refuse to go to paradise. And who are they? They're the ones who refuse to acknowledge God is one and worship Him alone without partners. And they refuse to do the deeds of righteousness. They are the ones destined to remain there forever. That's the teaching of Islam. So where does evil come from? It's a part of your test. And by the way, some things we see as bad turn out to be pretty good. And sometimes we see something we think is pretty good, turns out to be pretty bad. But that was an excellent question. What's the concept of heavenly delights if someone is martyred? Where does that come from? Yeah, that's what it's asking. And is there a passage in the Quran to deal with this? That's the nicest way anybody ever worded it. I've had it come to me and say, what's the deal about the guy having the 70 dancing girls and paradise and blah, blah, blah. Some are even worse than that. I don't want to tell you what they say. But actually, let us look to the Quran and see what it is. That what does a Muslim want? What's the thing a Muslim wants more than anything according to the Quran? And you find reference to it in Surah An-Nur, chapter 24 of the Quran. It tells us that He is Nur al-Nur. That Allah is light upon light. And He is the light that all of us are seeking in this life. And that all of us are seeking His face. Meaning that we want to be with Him in the next life. The goal of each and every Muslim is the goal to be in paradise with our Creator and finally get to see something that represents Him in that life. This is our goal. And for people who emphasize these other things, go back and see what else they said. Check it out. Yes, there's promises of very good things for people who sacrifice, even to the extent of putting their life on the line. But if you try to twist that around and say that somebody would be willing to do an evil act, we just got to understand if you did evil acts, you don't get to go to paradise to start with. That would defeat the whole purpose. Like robbing a bank to build an orphanage. And this is not acceptable in Islam. And whoever kills, read chapter 5, it's verse 34. But read it. It says, whoever takes an innocent life, I think it's chapter 5, verse 24 actually. Whoever takes an innocent life, it's as though they killed all of humanity. And this is being said to who? This was originally something said to Cain when he killed his brother Abel. Whoever takes an innocent life, it's as though he killed all of humanity. But whoever saves a life is though they saved all of humanity. So, Friday, is that the Sabbath? How many of you know that that's what the Bible says? To remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. You know that? How many of you keep the Sabbath holy? Put your hands up. Wait a minute, hold on. Did you just raise your hand? Do you keep the Sabbath holy? Do you really? Now wait a minute, what religion are you?
United Methodist.
You don't. Sorry. No, wait a minute. I think you keep Sunday holy. You keep Sunday holy? Yes. Sabbath is a number in Hebrew. It's the equivalent of Sabbath in Arabic. It says remember the seventh and keep it holy. True?
Yes.
Yeah, remember the seventh and keep it holy. This is because the Jews were ordered on the seventh day not to work from the time the sun went down on Friday night until the sun goes down on Saturday night. Now, we do have some Christians who do that, and we call them Seventh-day Adventists, because that's what they hold in esteem is this seventh day. It wasn't until 325, 326 at the Nicaea Council, under the auspices of the emperor at that time, that they changed it. According to the Catholic website, that's what it says. That's when it was officially changed from Saturday to become Sunday. But Allah knows best. I'm just telling you what it says on their website. The thing about it for us is we were told to hold Jummah. And it's in chapter 62 of the Quran, telling us to, not a day, but just an hour, 2 hours out of the day, to stop our work, go listen to the khutbah or sermon and take benefit from it. And then it tells us, and then get back to work. Go out there and seek the bounties of your Lord. So this gives you you don't have a what we call a blue Sunday. We used to have in Texas something like you couldn't work on that day or anything like that. Okay, why do women have to wear the dark covering in intense heat? Why can't they wear light-colored, white, beige, etc., since it is well known to do so in hot temperatures? The color is not described in the Quran. The hijab is described in 2 verses in the Quran, telling the women to cover themselves up. Literally, it says cover your chest. But the meaning is to draw the khimar down and let it down over the chest. That's how we understand it. Juyubihinna. That's in chapter 24, verse 31. But by the way, you need to read the verse before it. Nobody does that, but you should read the verse before it because it says, tell the bleeding men to lower their gaze and guard their private parts. And this is more pure for you. It's telling the men first. And then it tells, and it says, and tell the believing women. It starts out with this conjunction, and tell the believing women to lower their gaze, guard their private parts, and to draw the khimar down over jiyubihina. That's what it says. Right? So, that's one. The other one's in Surah Al-Hasab, chapter 33, verse 59, and it says similarly that, first of all, it tells the Prophet, Ya ayyuhan Nabi, O my Prophet, tell your azwajika, your wives, wa binatika, your daughters, and the believing women, that whenever they go out to draw their abaya, their outer garment, around themselves when they go out, meaning, away from your house and things like that. And this is all so that she'll be recognized as a believer, and Allah will protect her. Now, quick question here. Anybody ever been around Catholic Church? How many of you know that up until just a few years ago, all of the Catholic nuns wore black? Yep. And they wore it all the way down. That's the new thing about that shorter skirt came out since I've been alive. But they wore it long, on the ground. The only thing you can see is this. Why? And I asked a Catholic girl about this because she was asking me, why do you have this partition between the men and the women? And I said, hold on a second, because we do. In some of the masjids, they have a partition and the ladies are on one side, the men are on the other. So she's asking about that. I said, it's a good question, but let me ask you something. What are you? She said, I'm a Catholic. I said, okay. What about the nuns? What about the nuns? Who are they? She said, they're the best of the women we have. I said, you're right. Well, I believe you. Because they've given up their whole lives for what they believe, right? She said, yes. I said, and how do they dress? She said, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about this thing right here. I said, fine. But how do they dress? And she said, well, like these ladies that you have. I said, okay, cool. But there's a difference. Now I'm going to ask you, can she have a baby? Oh, no. I said, why? She said, they can't get married. I said, why? She said, they're married to God. I said, all of them? And you got a problem with Muslims and four wives. Woo. That was a cheap shot, but I took it. But check this out. When I asked them, did you know that the best of our women also cover up? The difference is they only have to do it when they go out in public. At home, they can dress any way they want to. Those nuns can't because they go into a convent, and in the convent, they wear the same thing from daylight to dark. Every day, they wear the same thing. Am I telling the truth or not? Yeah. That's what they have to wear. And can they get married? And the answer is no, they can't. Same for the priests, isn't that right? And I asked her, I said, did you not understand? Our women are encouraged to get married. As soon as they're old enough, we say, get these girls married. Get these boys married. Get them off the streets. It's a good answer. They said, we didn't know that. I said, now watch this. When they get married, they're going to have a baby. And when they have a baby, the women nurse them. This is highly encouraged in Islam to have the natural nursing. Yes? And it goes on for actually a couple of years that they nurse their babies. Did you know that? They said, no, we didn't know that. And I said, on the other side of that wall, those women are doing that right now because as soon as they go back over there, no man can see them. They can take off all of that stuff and they got on the regular old clothes just like you got on. Someone wearing t-shirts under what they got here. You didn't know what they got on that. You don't. Am I right? It's up to you what you want to wear, isn't it? And the ones that cover all the way up and cover their face and everything, and you think, oh, wow, that's really oppressive. You don't know what they got on there. And besides, when they cover their face, you don't know. Maybe she's sticking her tongue out at you. You didn't know. So the girls changed their mind real fast. I said, you know what? I'm just telling you for your own good to investigate a little bit more before you make up these conclusions. But by the way, and I ended it with this, I said, who's the best of your men? They said, the priests. I said, who's better than a priest? I said, what do you mean? I said, who's better? Archpriest. Oh, yeah. Who's better than that? Bishop, archbishop. Who's better than that? The cardinal. Who's better than that? The pope. I said, can any of them get married? They said no. I said, are they married to God too? They said yes. He said, I've got a question for you. If the best of your men and the best of your women can never get married, never have intimate relationship, never feel the companionship and the love, can never have grandchildren, can never have offsprings, that only leaves the worst of your people to procreate and keep going on and cause problems, doesn't it? So why do you come to me and ask me why we put up a partition between men and women when your religion has a partition between common sense and silliness? I left them with that. Well, I was telling this story later because, and the Muslims, it has an impact because Muslims are human just like you are. They have feelings, and they wonder, they ask questions, the same. And I said, think about it. Don't throw what you have out the window just because somebody said something bad in the newspaper. Maybe you have something nice. Hang on. And when I was telling this story a year later in the exact same place, everybody kept laughing while I was talking. And after I was done, I said, man, I just told you guys a story about these two girls I met right here in this place, and what happened? They said, Sheikh, the reason we're laughing, those girls both came back afterwards and accepted Islam, and they're on the other side of the partition right now. So I'm saying that Islam has provided us for something really beautiful. You should investigate it. You might like it. What's Islam's feeling about Jesus? First point is we never talk about what our feeling is if we're going to talk about what's Islam. I don't say I feel Islam is like this. I don't feel that Muslim is like that. I don't feel the Quran says this. Those are not expressions that we're even allowed to use because that means I'm putting emotional interpretation on it. If you want to know what Islam says, it's very clear. We don't need to worry about it. You can talk about your feeling after you hear the conclusion, but it's right over here. It's on this poster. You can see it right over there. Who is Jesus? And by the way, I didn't say anything about this yet, but I want to mention, why Islam? Write down that phone number, 877 Why Islam. If you have something in the future that you want to rely on, that you want to go to, and you'll find that they will have people there you can actually ask questions, and they'll give you real answers. 877 Why Islam. It's a real good place to get answers. They also have a website, whyislam.org. You want to check it out. They have this thing here is a very beautiful exhibit that they have. Put these up like that. I really like it. But it's talking about Jesus right over there. You can read it, and in the pamphlet it tells you about Jesus. The respect and honor that comes to Jesus is unparalleled. Because when we say Isa, that's his real name, we say alayhi salam, peace be upon him. We never have any jokes, any derogatory remarks about Jesus or any of the prophets, ever. It's totally, totally unacceptable in Islam, to the extent that when they wanted to portray Jesus as a gay, in UK, it was the Muslims who were out in the front, more so even than the Christians, talking about this, because he's our prophet. Jesus is our prophet. Now we recognize him as being the Messiah, or Messiah, as you pronounce it, and the Christ, which is from Christos, which just means Messiah. We accept that he is the miracle birth. Like Adam, he was created without any father. But we don't worship Adam, and we don't worship Jesus. And we don't worship Eve, Hawa, either. They were created by Allah's command, be, and they were. It also tells us in the Quran about he is kalimatullah, which means he's the word of God. God speaks a word and it exists. So those who know the Koine Greek, the logos, that's all it means, kalimatullah, logos of God. God speaks a word and it becomes real. So this is what the Muslims believe. We believe that he came and he was honest and he was truthful and he sacrificed and he followed the Jewish religion. We believe that he was good to his mother in every aspect. And we believe that he prayed and taught his followers how to pray. We even have the full story of what really happened on the event of the Last Supper and what it really signifies. And it wasn't just somebody throwing food out on the table. It was a literal miracle that came down from heaven. Came down from heaven, and they ate from the food that came from heaven. And if anybody disbelieved after that, that they would be punished like nobody had been punished before. This is mentioned. You can read it in the Quran. Now, another thing that we have about Jesus is that he's with God now, and he'll be back in the last day. We believe that more so even than some Christian groups. Because we don't say, well, that's not literal, it's allegorical. No, we say it's a physical fact. He's going to walk with two legs on the earth, leading the true believers to victory. And there will be a lot of people, from the Christians, from the Jews, from the Muslims, and others, who will recognize him as the real Messiah, and they will follow him, and he will lead them to a victory over evil and disbelief. And for a period of time, there will be good on the earth until he dies, and then all the believers will die with him. And after that, it's going to be a shambles until the last day. And that's pretty much what we have on him. That's a good question. Good question. Oh, and I didn't answer your question exactly. I'm sorry. Whoever asked about the dark colors, look at the sisters. They're not all wearing dark colors. So, duh. Some of them want to. They like it. And where they wear it the darkest is where it's the hottest. And don't ask me why, but they do. You go to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, places like that, you see so many of the women that wearing that black. And it is hot. It really is hot. I wear white. When I'm over there, I'm just going to keep it as lightweight as I can. Why do people kill in the name of Allah? Do Muslims kill in the name of Allah? How many say no? The Biha? Duh. They didn't say that. They say kill. Do Muslims kill in the name of Allah? Yes. In fact, we won't eat meat if it's not killed in the name of Allah. That's our kosher. It's exactly what it means. I worked in a slaughterhouse. You lay the animal down, you have to hide the knife. He's not to see it. You wait till he's relaxed. Pull his head back, find the little knot right there, put the knife real quick. It has to be razor sharp so he can't feel it. And then like this in the name of Allah. Just like that. It's the most humane of all the ways. In the other slaughterhouses, other places where I work, they take a stun gun and give them a brain concussion. Then they cut off their ears, then they cut off their legs, and while they're still alive, even some cutting off the tails. Unbelievable. Then they slit them this way, and then they stab them in the heart, and the blood is so black from adrenaline you don't want to even be there. And that's what you eat every day. And the best of all the KFCs, Kentucky Fried Chicken, the number one money maker for them is in Trinidad, and it's only halal meat. And it tastes the best, so they got a long line every day. People stand there waiting to eat it. I'm not joking. If you have a doubt, contact KFC and ask them. It's the best there is, what's killed in the name of Allah. If what you meant by your question is about slaughtering human beings, I just read it to you from the Quran. You can't do that. You can't kill innocent people. Now, I'll ask you a question. Somebody's coming to you, coming on your property, and they got weapons, and they're shooting at your house, shooting at you. Do you have the right to shoot back?
Yes.
Or did we lose that right along with everything else that's been happening since 9/11? We still got that right? Can we? Okay, well, duh, yes. And then we don't need anybody to give us that right. That's just a normal thing people are going to do anyway, right? Well, so, what's that? It's not just talking about the name of Allah. You're just defending yourself. The first one that came up, it said, how does somebody convert to Islam? I think one of the Muslims probably set that up. That's okay. We didn't come here to proselytize. We didn't come here to try to convert people. In fact, in Islam, that's not how it works. We have an order that came to us, one of the first orders that came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was all wrapped up, and the verse came to him, Ya Mudathir, kum fa'andir. Oh, you who are wrapped up, get up and mourn. That's what he was ordered to do. But if you read the whole Quran, you'll see at times he got carried away and he was really trying to... and then Allah would tell him, hey, You don't guide who you love, but rather Allah guides who He wills to His straight path. So I can't guide you to anything. And the person that helped me to understand Islam told me the same thing. Essentially, I was walking with him one night. We were walking all night. I was talking to him because I had just seen a Catholic priest enter Islam, and I couldn't believe it. My own wife said that she wanted to enter Islam, and I was shocked. My own dad was talking about Islam, and I was like, hello, what's going on around me? And I'm walking with him, and for 3 months I've been trying to convert this Muslim man to be a Christian. I was trying hard, but then he just said, look, you believe God is one? I said, of course. He said, do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God? I said, no, I don't. I do believe He's a mighty prophet. I believe that He will be back, but I don't think God's really got any sons and daughters. It doesn't make sense. Not in a biological sense. He said, okay, then that's close. He said, what about Muhammad? I said, I don't know. I don't know anything really about him. But I definitely believe we have to do what God wants us to do. He said, then at this point, it's not between you and me anymore. I can't help you. I said, what? What kind of salesmanship is this? He said, I can't help you, and your father can't help you, and your wife can't help you, and the Catholic priest is not going to help you. Because the only one that you really have an issue with now is your Lord. Go talk to Him. I'm like, what? He said, seriously, just go off and talk to your Lord. Anywhere you want to. It's up to you. And that's what I did. And that's what you can do. If you really want to know about this subject, how does somebody get to Islam? The first thing is to recognize there is a God, or at least recognize there's something, and then this is the words that I said. I put my head on the ground in the direction, the east, or wherever I saw the Muslim praying, and I said, oh God, if you even exist, if you're even there, guide me. Now you guys have been sitting here about, 45 minutes, an hour, listening to me talk. I don't have any problem with words, right? But I couldn't think of anything else to say except that. Guide me. Guide me. And when I raised up my head, I didn't see any angels, I didn't see any rainbows, I didn't see any dancing fairies or anything like that. But what I had was a real deep realization that there must be something out there. And I need to investigate and find out more. I went to the translation I had of the Quran and I opened it up to the very beginning of it. And in the Quran it says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. When I read this in the translation, I started crying. Because it says, in the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. All the praise is only for Almighty God, the most gracious, the most merciful, the ruler on the day of judgment. You only do we worship, and you only do we turn to for guidance. Guide us. Guide us. Guide us on the straight path. The path of those that have your favor, but not the path of those that have your anger, nor the path of those that go astray. That's the first 7 verses of the Quran. That's what the Muslims recite 17 times a day, every single day, asking for guidance. And just as I asked God for guidance when I came up these steps right over here, I'm asking now for His guidance for everybody in this room. Because you know what? You're all my brothers and sisters in humanity. We all came from Adam. As such, I love all of you. And I hope for only the best for you. I hope all of us can see each other in paradise. That'd be wonderful for me. That's my prayer. I hope Allah will guide all of us. Thanks for being with us today. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Brother Yusuf.
Thank you, Brother Yusuf.